Welcome to Lesson 2.6 of the Grant Architect course. In this second part of our 990 exploration, we will focus specifically on Part 15 of Form 990 PF, the section listing grants and contributions paid during the year. Part 15 is often the most valuable section for prospect research because it shows exactly what the foundation funded rather than what they say they fund. By analyzing Part 15 systematically, you can determine typical grant sizes, identify the types of organizations funded, understand geographic patterns, assess whether the foundation funds repeat grantees or seeks new ones, and evaluate how well your organization aligns with actual giving patterns. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to extract detailed insights from Part 15 to inform your prospect evaluation and prioritization. Part 15 of Form 990 PF contains the grants paid list, a comprehensive record of foundation grant making. The grants paid list includes all grants and contributions the foundation made during its tax year. This is not a sample or selection, it is the complete record of charitable disbursements to other organizations. Required information for each grant includes the recipient organization's name, address, the grant amount, and a brief description of the purpose. This standardized information enables systematic analysis across all grants. The comprehensive record means every grant above minimal thresholds must be listed. This transparency ensures you see the full picture of foundation giving, not a curated selection. Smaller foundations may list fewer grants, but large foundations may list hundreds. The primary source value of Part 15 is that it shows actual giving versus stated priorities. Foundations may describe their priorities in general terms, but Part 15 shows specifically what they funded. Sometimes actual giving differs from stated priorities. Part 15 provides ground truth. Extracting key data points from Part 15 enables systematic analysis. Grant amounts show individual grant sizes. Note the amount of each grant and calculate statistics including minimum, maximum, median, and mean. Understanding the range of grant sizes helps you assess whether your funding needs fall within the foundation's typical giving patterns. Recipients are the organizations that received grants. Note the types of organizations: universities, hospitals, community organizations, national nonprofits, local groups. Are recipients similar to your organization? Are there organizations you recognize or know? Purposes describe what was funded. Brief descriptions like general operating support, scholarship fund, or capital campaign indicate the types of support the foundation provides. Are they funding programs, operations, capital, research, or other types of support? Locations from recipient addresses show geographic distribution. Where are funded organizations located? Is giving concentrated in certain areas or spread broadly? Does the geographic pattern include your area? Calculating median grant size helps you understand typical giving patterns and calibrate your requests appropriately. Why median rather than average? Grant distributions are often skewed by a few very large grants. If a foundation makes 50 grants of $10,000 and one grant of $1 million, the average is approximately $29,000, but most grants are $10,000. The median, which is the middle value, better represents typical grants. The calculation process involves sorting all grants from smallest to largest and finding the middle value. If there are 100 grants, the median is the average of the 50th and 51st grants. Spreadsheet software makes this calculation easy. Interpretation means understanding what a typical grant looks like. If the median grant is $25,000, most grants are in that general range. A few may be much larger or smaller, but $25,000 represents a typical expectation. Request calibration uses median to align your ask appropriately. If the median grant is $15,000 and you request $200,000, your request is unusual. You might succeed, but you would be asking for something atypical. Requests near the median are more likely to fit foundation patterns. Identifying giving patterns from Part 15 analysis reveals important information about foundation behavior. Repeat grantee analysis examines whether the foundation funds the same organizations year after year. Compare grant lists across multiple years. If the same recipients appear repeatedly, the foundation may prioritize ongoing relationships over new grantees. Breaking into such a foundation can be challenging. New grantee frequency indicates how often new organizations receive funding. If many recipients in recent years did not appear in earlier years, the foundation actively seeks new grantees. Foundations with high new grantee rates may be more accessible to first-time applicants. Issue concentration shows whether grants cluster in certain areas. Even within stated priorities, foundations may concentrate heavily in particular sub-areas. A health foundation might focus primarily on research rather than direct services, or vice versa. Understanding concentration helps assess fit. Size consistency indicates whether grant sizes are uniform or highly variable. Some foundations make grants in a narrow size range. Others vary widely, making large grants to some recipients and small grants to others. Understanding size patterns helps you assess likely grant sizes for your request. Geographic analysis of Part 15 reveals where foundations actually direct their giving. Location mapping plots where funded organizations are located. Note the city and state of each recipient. Are they clustered in certain cities or states? Are they spread nationally or internationally? The pattern reveals geographic priorities. Concentration versus distribution shows whether giving is clustered or spread. A foundation might concentrate heavily in one metropolitan area, spread giving across a region, or give nationally without geographic preference. Understanding this pattern helps assess geographic fit. Local preference is common among many foundations, especially family foundations. They may prioritize organizations in their home community, the community where the founding family lives, or communities where they have personal connections. Local preference can advantage or disadvantage you depending on your location. Your geography assessment asks whether the giving pattern includes your service area. If a foundation funds exclusively in California and you operate in Florida, geographic alignment is lacking regardless of mission fit. Geographic fit is often a threshold criterion for foundation prospects. Purpose and support type analysis examines what foundations are funding beyond who they are funding. Purpose descriptions in Part 15 briefly describe what each grant funded. Read these descriptions to understand what activities the foundation supports. Are they funding program implementation, capacity building, research, advocacy, direct services, or other activities? Support type categories organize purposes into types. Common categories include general operating support for unrestricted organizational funding, program support for specific program funding, capital for buildings and equipment, research for investigation and evaluation, scholarships for individual awards, and others. Categorizing grants reveals support type patterns. Restricted versus unrestricted balance shows how flexible foundation giving is. Some foundations primarily provide general operating support, giving grantees flexibility. Others restrict grants to specific programs or purposes. This balance affects how the foundation could support your work. Alignment with your needs asks whether the foundation funds what you need. If you need general operating support and the foundation only funds capital projects, there is a support type mismatch. Identify foundations whose support type patterns match your needs. Multi-year comparative analysis examines how Part 15 data changes over time, revealing trends and evolution. Year-over-year comparison tracks how giving changes from year to year. Is total giving increasing or decreasing? Are new recipients appearing? Are long-standing recipients disappearing? Changes over time reveal foundation evolution. Emerging priorities appear as new topics in recent grant lists. If environmental grants appear in recent years but not earlier years, environment may be an emerging priority. Identifying emerging areas can position you for growing opportunity areas. Declining areas show topics fading from grant lists. If education grants decrease over time, education may be declining as a priority. Recognizing declining areas helps you avoid pursuing foundations moving away from your work. Stability assessment evaluates how consistent giving patterns are. Stable patterns suggest predictable priorities. Volatile patterns suggest shifting interests or unclear direction. Stable foundations may be more reliable long-term prospects than foundations with frequently changing priorities. Part 15 analysis can reveal red flags suggesting foundations that may be poor prospects despite apparent alignment. Very limited giving despite substantial assets suggests a foundation not actively seeking grantees. If a foundation has 50 million in assets but makes only 3 small grants per year, it may not be open to new applicants. Such foundations often fund only a narrow set of preferred organizations. Narrow recipient pools with grants to very few organizations repeatedly suggest limited openness to new grantees. If the same 5 organizations receive grants every year with no variation, the foundation may not consider unsolicited proposals. Personal giving patterns emerge when grants primarily serve board members' personal interests. Family foundation grants going primarily to board members' alma maters, churches, and pet causes may not be accessible to unconnected applicants. Unusual concentrations where most giving goes to single recipients suggest special relationships rather than competitive grant making. A foundation giving 90% of its distributions to one hospital is likely fulfilling a specific commitment rather than broadly seeking grantees. Creating analysis templates standardizes your Part 15th research for efficiency and consistency. Standard data fields identify what information to extract from every grant list. Your template might include total grants, total amount, median grant, largest grant, smallest grant, number of unique recipients, geographic distribution summary, and support type breakdown. Consistent extraction enables comparison. Calculation formulas automate statistics generation. If using spreadsheets, build formulas to calculate median, mean, range, and other statistics automatically. Templates with built-in formulas speed analysis and reduce errors. Summary formats standardize how you present findings. A one-page summary template might include key statistics, geographic highlights, recipient type observations, and overall fit assessment. Consistent formats make comparison easy and ensure you address the same questions for each foundation. Comparative frameworks enable comparison across foundations. When multiple foundations have been analyzed using the same template, you can compare median grant sizes, geographic overlap with your work, recipient type patterns, and other factors across prospects. Analysis should lead to assessment that informs your prospecting decisions. Fit evaluation synthesizes your analysis into an overall assessment of how well your organization matches the foundation's giving patterns. Consider geographic fit, organizational type fit, sector fit, support type fit, and size fit. Strong fit across multiple dimensions suggests a good prospect. Opportunity assessment realistically evaluates the opportunity. Is this foundation accessible to new grantees? Does your request size fit their patterns? Is there a relationship pathway? Honest assessment prevents wasted effort on poor fit prospects. Approach considerations identify how to approach this foundation if you choose to pursue it. Should you submit a letter of inquiry, seek an introduction through a mutual contact, attend an information session? Analysis informs approach strategy. Priority ranking places this foundation among your prospects. Based on fit assessment and opportunity evaluation, where does this foundation rank? Should it be a top priority for immediate pursuit, a secondary prospect for cultivation, or a lower priority to consider later? Integrating 990 analysis with other research creates comprehensive prospect understanding. Verify with websites by checking current foundation information against your 990 findings. Priorities may have evolved since the 990 was filed. Websites show current guidelines, deadlines, and stated interests. Discrepancies between 990 patterns and website priorities warrant investigation. Supplement with databases by adding context from database profiles. Database summaries may provide information not in 990S, such as application contact information, deadline dates, or restrictions not apparent from grant lists. Databases synthesize information that 990S present in raw form. Seek peer intelligence by learning from others who have experience with the foundation. Has anyone in your network applied? What was their experience? Peer knowledge adds context that neither 990S nor websites provide. Direct contact can clarify questions through appropriate outreach. If 990 analysis raises questions, program officer conversations might provide answers. Is the foundation still funding your area? Are they open to new applicants? Direct contact can fill gaps in documentary research. Building organizational capability for 990 analysis ensures your organization can conduct effective foundation research. Skill distribution means multiple staff members should develop 990 analysis skills. Reliance on a single person creates vulnerability if that person leaves. Cross-training ensures continuous research capability. Shared templates provide common tools for consistent analysis across the organization. When everyone uses the same template, analyses are comparable and quality is consistent. Shared tools also reduce duplicated effort in developing analytical frameworks. Research archives maintain completed analyses for future reference. When you analyze a foundation's 990, save your work. If the foundation becomes relevant again later, you do not need to start over. Archives also enable tracking changes over time as you update analyses with new 990s. Continuous improvement refines approaches based on experience. What analysis approaches yielded the most useful insights? What information proved most predictive of success? Learning from experience improves future analysis. Let us summarize what we have covered in this deep dive into Part 15 analysis. Part 15 focus highlights that the grants paid list reveals actual giving patterns beyond stated priorities. This section shows exactly what foundations fund, providing ground truth for prospect evaluation. Key analyses include calculating median grant sizes to understand typical giving, mapping geographic distribution to assess location fit, categorizing recipient types to evaluate organizational fit, and analyzing support types to match your needs with foundation patterns. Multi-year comparative analysis reveals trends and evolution. Assessment integration uses your analysis to evaluate fit and opportunity realistically. Part 16 data informs whether a foundation is a good prospect, how you might approach them, and where they rank among your prospects. Integrate 990 analysis with website research, database information, and peer intelligence for comprehensive understanding. In our next lesson, we will shift from foundation research to federal opportunity analysis. We will learn the shredding method for dissecting notices of funding opportunity and requests for proposals, creating compliance matrices that ensure thorough response to all requirements.